Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call to order the County Planning Commission for August 14th, 2023. If you all please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Commissioners Borja, Rathel,
Here.
Corona Sabagnano,
Here.
Tatishi, and Wong.
Here.
And we do have our quorum.
Thank you. If you'll please make the announcements for this evening.
So the county fosters public engagement during the meeting and encourages public participation, civility, and use of courteous language. The county does not condone the use of profanity, vulgar language, gestures, or other inappropriate behavior, including personal attacks or threats directed towards any meeting participant. In compliance with the directives of the county, state, and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the meeting is open to public attendance pursuant to health and safety guidelines. The practice of social distancing and wearing of face coverings, mask, or shield is recommended for the health and safety of all persons participating in person during the meeting, although it is not required. Seating is limited and available on a first-come, first-served basis. To make a public comment, please complete a speaker request form and hand it to the clerk. The chairperson will call your name when it's your turn to make a comment, and you may also send a written comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net, and your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record.
Thank you so much. And that moves us to our non-contested portion of the agenda. If you'll please call item number 1.
For item number 1, we have a use permit amendment and design review. It's located at 7713 Vineyard Road on the southeast corner of the intersection of Gerber Road and Vineyard Road in the Vineyard community, and the environmental document is that it's exempt.
Thank you so much. Any updates from staff on this item?
No updates from staff. We do have our project manager available if you have any questions, and we're also happy to give a presentation if you'd like.
Thank you so much. Any need of a presentation this evening or any questions from the commissioners? All right. Any public comments or folks that want to speak on this item this evening?
And there are no public comments.
All right. And do we have the applicant here this evening?
We do.
Okay. We'll give that opportunity. The applicant doesn't need to speak this evening on the item, but you're welcome to if you'd like.
The applicant has joined us virtually over the Zoom platform.
Okay. And I'm assuming it's Nicole Komach. I've promoted you so that you're able to speak in the meeting. Are you there and available? I'm asking to unmute your microphone. Hi, Nicole. She's unmuted, but she's not speaking. And if you'll bear with us, please, we do have slight technical difficulties, and I'm going to go ahead and unmute you again. I'm asking to unmute you, and I see that your microphone is unmuted. If you can hear me, can you please speak and say something? She says she has no comments.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
We'll move on to commission deliberation.
Thank you.
Move staff recommendation.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are we voting here or call the roll either way?
We're good with the voting machine? Okay, perfect. And please vote. Unanimous vote with those members present.
All right, thank you so much. Will you please call item number 2?
And for item number 2 this evening, we have a time extension located at 8989 Lemus Road, approximately 860 feet east of the intersection with Elk Grove Florin Road in the Vineyard community. And the environmental document is an addendum to prior mitigated negative declaration.
Thank you so much. I know we received a couple of public comments on this today. Do we also have folks in the chambers or online to comment on this item this evening?
We don't have anyone on the phones, and I believe that we have one person in the audience who wants to make a public comment, and I'll get a speaker slip and get it to you, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Clarifies. Did the commissioners get a chance to review those public comments that were made? And do we need a staff presentation this evening on the item? Did you want a presentation from staff this evening? Okay, perfect. Any other updates from staff?
No updates. Yeah, we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, do we have an applicant? We do have an applicant, but no comments. Perfect. And we'll move on to no other public comments.
No other public comments.
All right. Makes it nice and easy on a non-contested item. We'll move on to commission deliberation.
So I'll move staff recommendation.
Oh, second.
All right. Will you please allow us to vote?
Absolutely.
Not sure how to say that since you don't call the roll.
And please vote. Unanimous with those members present.
All right. Will you please call item number 3 this evening?
Sir, and for item number 3 this evening, we have a development process review update, and it is a presentation in the environmental document that it's not applicable. Let me raise it up for you, Mr. DeFonte.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
It's nice to be back here during a hearing in this room. Good evening, I guess. Dave DeFonte, very happy to be here. Thank you very much, Chair and Commission, for having me. So again, my name's Dave DeFonte. My position is Deputy County Executive over Community Services. So as you're probably aware, under our County Executive, Ann Edwards, there's 4 Deputy CEOs, one for admin, kind of internal services, one for public safety and justice, a third for social services, and then myself over community services. So my departments include community development, ag, airports, economic development, transportation, regional parks, waste management, recycling, and water resources. I think I got them all. So pretty much anything that comes to your commission, it's as a result of a lot of work from departments that I work with on a daily basis. So today I'm here to talk about a pretty large multi-department initiative we have moving forward to help make it easier to essentially do business in Sacramento County when it comes to land development. So I'll apologize in advance to staff who have heard this spiel, I'm sure, a couple of times, but thought it was important to bring your commission up to speed as to some of the things we're working on behind the scene, and then I'll also be providing a very similar presentation to all 14 CPACs here in the next couple of months. So just real quick by way of background, coming out of college, I actually worked for Sacramento County for about a decade in planning. So this is almost coming full circle for me, who was presented to this planning commission a number of times in a prior life way back when, but certainly not this current iteration. I spent a number of years in El Dorado County as the assistant director of their community development agency, and then the last 5.5 years or so in Placer County in a similar role as I have here, and returned to Sacramento County about 1.5 years ago, and really, really happy to be here. I've lived in Sacramento County the whole time, raising my twin 12-year-olds here, so this is very important to me, the work we do here, and very much appreciate all of your service to the county as well. So tonight I wanted to really do a few things. One, again, sort of introduce this concept of a multi-department initiative we're working on. I want to talk about a resolution the Board of Supervisors adopted back in February of this year, which I believe is the only information you were provided ahead of time. And that was sort of by design, and I have a couple of things to hand out to you today. And that resolution is very important. It's sort of our North Star moving forward. It contains the board's why a good process is important to them, what good customer service means to them, et cetera. And that's sort of our North Star moving forward. I also want to give you a very brief snapshot of some process improvements that are in the works right now. I will actually pass out to you in just a little bit here tracking log that we have, there's over 100 things in the works right now, and I'm certainly not going to be going over all the minutia of that with you, but happy to leave that with you if you care to peruse it and answer questions as they come up. And then finally was hoping any feedback from your commission as to what we're working on and things that you might be seeing that we could be also focused on. So any questions before I get started? Okay, perfect. All right, so just a little bit of background and context. In spring of 2022, our CEO, well, let me actually back up a little bit from there. We've been hearing for a few years from our customers that some of our processes are just difficult to navigate, and land development is inherently a very complex thing. In Sacramento County, it's a little bit more complex than some other municipalities in that we have not only the functions under our direct charge here, but we have a number of special districts that we have to work with outside of the county's span of control. Park districts, 20-something water purveyors, various fire districts, et cetera. So not only are our customers having to navigate the county's processes, but also having to work with a number of external agencies as well. And our staff does the same. We have excellent relationships with those folks, but it is just an inherently very complex thing to go through, especially when you're talking, large-scale land entitlements as opposed to, pulling a building permit. But we're looking to address that entire process, everything from pulling a permit for an ADU all the way up to making it easier to process, large master plan projects. So over the last few years, we've got a lot of feedback again from our customers that our processes are somewhat cumbersome, and there's different, better ways that we can be doing business from a county perspective. So our CEO in the spring of 2022 brought on a consultant by the name of Ray Carriage, and that name might sound familiar to you. He was the city manager of the city of Sacramento and then the city manager of the city of Roseville. And he was actually lured here by the city of Sacramento from his home base in Portland to do a lot of the work in the city a number of years back that we're now engaging in here at the county. So his charge was to essentially review our land development processes, talk to our customers, talk to some staff as well, to really see what's working well and what can be improved, and then provide us a report at the end of that process, enumerating all of his findings and recommendations. So he did just that and provided us with his report actually just about 1 year ago in September of 2022. And actually, if you don't mind, I will pass this out, and you certainly don't need to read it right now. But this is the staff report I provided to the board in February. When we get to the presentation, I'll go through, or the resolution, I'll get to it in a little bit more detail. But attached to this packet is the report provided to us by Mr. Carriage. So in receipt of that report, that really kicked off our effort internally. We had a ton of discussions with staff, with customers, digging through that report and evaluating the recommendations contained within it, and then launching a number of initiatives to address the findings in the report. We've started a quarterly meeting with staff to talk through some of these things. We actually had a board retreat in November of last year to work through this report and sort of test the waters with our Board of Supervisors as to which recommendations they wanted us to prioritize. And from there, that sort of naturally grew into the presentation again in February of last year, where we presented a resolution to the board for their consideration. So when I presented that resolution to the board in February, it was actually a really exciting thing, and I want to talk about it for a few minutes here in just a moment. But the nature of that resolution, it was intended to basically be the board's voice, talking back to us as staff and to our customers about what's important to them. Again, what kind of improvements they wanted to see, why it's important to have efficient processes and have excellent customer service, and what their goal was. And their goal is actually pretty simple, maybe difficult to achieve, but quite simple in its brevity, in that we want to be the best place to build in the region. And we want to provide excellent customer service to all of our customers. And one of the discussions we've had with staff, with our customers, et cetera, is this isn't about, excellent customer service to major land developers. This is about excellent customer service to everybody. And I've been a customer of our building process. You know, when I worked elsewhere, I still lived here at the county, and we built a pool in our backyard. And I went through that process myself, and I'm actually going through it again. And it was really helpful to see what our customers experience. My experience was actually extremely positive. I chatted with various building inspectors that came out, and I really appreciated the work that they were doing to make sure that my contractor was installing things correctly. So I had a very positive experience. And yes. No, that's quite all right. Oh, of course. Of course, absolutely. So we want to make sure everybody has that type of positive experience. So I wanted to take a moment here to go through the resolution, because this is direction from the Board of Supervisors to county staff, and also a message out to our customers about what we want to be known for and the kind of service and processes we want to provide to our customers. So I know this was included in your packet. Hopefully you've had just a few moments to peruse through it, but there was a couple of highlights that I wanted to speak to. So, the board really made it clear that part of the nut they were trying to crack is the housing affordability and supply crisis. I think it's pretty clear to anybody paying attention, we are facing both in spades. But at the same time, we're also facing a climate emergency. The board's been very vocal about both of those things, and I think that us becoming the best place to build in the region can help solve for all of those things at once. I think we can absolutely be a major player in providing more housing for all income levels. That in providing more housing, we can hopefully help address the cost crisis along with that, and also do in a way that's very climate responsible. And I think Sacramento County is situated to do that pretty much better than any jurisdiction around. And I say that with some level of experience working for them. They wanted to make sure that we're also not just looking at new construction in greenfield areas, but also reinvesting in our existing communities. And I know there's been a lot of conversation in this chamber about our environmental justice communities, and making sure that we're making it easier for private development to reinvest back into those communities, either be it reinvesting in an existing storefront or reinvesting in taking down vacant land and putting something new there. So making it easier to do infill development along with other types of development. And again, in doing so, the board is confident that we can address climate and some of the other crises we're facing. Now, there's a lot of language in here. I'm not going to go through all of it, but one of the things that was very clear to me early on, as well as the board, is we absolutely have to empower our staff. We have amazing staff here. We have extremely smart people working for the county, but the county hasn't always had a culture of empowering those staff to make decisions, to be creative, to take some level of risk to help projects move forward. So that's something that's actually encapsulated very clearly in this resolution, that the county absolutely expects staff to be creative, to take risks, et cetera, and knows that when they do so, things aren't always going to pan out perfectly, right? And that when things don't go according to plan, they expect managers, folks like myself, to have staff's back, and also that they will have staff's back if something doesn't pan out appropriately. I thought that was incredibly important and very, it's sort of nuanced, but really important to having staff step up and help make decisions in a timely fashion. All right. Again, the crux of this is us being the best place to build in the region. And I think that is just such a powerful statement, very easy to say, very difficult to be, right? Especially given the setup of the county, like I talked about before, not having under its span of control everything development related. So coordination just becomes so much more key. And we do a great job of that. I think we can do even better working with our partners to help development move forward quicker. But I've seen a ton of progress just in the last year in working better with our partners, working better with our customers, et cetera. So I'm not going to belabor the resolution too much, but before I leave that, are there any questions about the resolution or comments on it? Because again, this is kind of our North Star. It's guiding all of our efforts moving forward here. So just wanted to leave with a level of clarity, because this is, our Board of Supervisors speaking in unison back to us about what's important to them. I will say, if you go back and watch the video, they were absolutely ecstatic about this resolution. They adopted it with a lot of excitement around it, and there was a lot of discussion when it was presented about how it captured really succinctly and precisely what they were thinking. So I left that meeting feeling really good. Like what we have is all 5 board members speaking with one voice to us and our customers. So any questions or comments on that? Okay. So now what I wanted to do very briefly is just touch on some of the improvements that we're working on, and I'm going to do this very briefly. Sorry, more stuff to give to. So this is actually back from April, and we're working on an update right now. But this is a tracking log that we're maintaining right now of all the various initiatives that county staff is working on. I believe we're up to over 100 right now. Just departments across the board, from community development, DOT, water resources, et cetera, and all the divisions within them are working on a variety of things to help make it easier to develop in the county. So, wanted to touch on what a few of those are. But before I do, we talk a lot about process improvements, and that's incredibly important. But what I really want to emphasize is the culture we're trying to breed here in the county. Again, empowering staff to make decisions, to feel comfortable taking a bit of a leap to help things move forward. And making them feel valued and understanding that they're really where the rubber meets the road, right? And I think we've done that to a degree. I think we have a little bit of work to go there, but creating a positive culture where information is shared freely, that people feel comfortable expressing their opinions, and again, that are working in sometimes a regulatory fashion, but doing so with the mindset of a facilitator. And that's really important to me because we do have key roles here to make sure that projects are meeting certain requirements, that they're satisfying all the federal, state, local requirements that are necessary to pull off a project. But we can do so either as a regulator or we can do so with the mindset of a facilitator to really hold people's hands and help them through a process. And again, that could be somebody trying to pull a basic building permit for a new garage all the way up to a multi-thousand unit subdivision. So what we're talking about, again, is treating all customers well, providing good processes and customer service for everybody across the spectrum. So in terms of process improvements themselves, again, I won't belabor everything on this spreadsheet, but there are a few things I wanted to touch on. We've pulled together what we're calling the industry working group, so working with a whole host of engineers, architects, builders, developers, et cetera, to identify issues and work in a subgroup setting to address those issues and come up with processes that make better sense. So I believe we have 6 or 7 subgroups right now working on a monthly basis together, where folks, again, from all walks of life are meeting with staff and working through some of those tough issues. Everything from, how do you make a call in the field when, you dig in the ground and things weren't exactly as the plan showed? How can we empower people to make calls on the fly as opposed to, bringing people back through another multi-week or month or more process? So everything from that to, fee updates to, anyway, I can go on and on, but I won't. So that industry working group has actually been pretty powerful. We've been meeting for about 5 months now on a variety of issues, and we'll continue to do the same and add topics to that list as need be. We also have a new program we're going to be kicking off here and actually presenting it to the board at a retreat in September called our Development Process Managers. So this is one of the recommendations out of Mr. Carriage's report, which to me makes a lot of sense. Having a subset of staff that are dedicated to working on certain projects from cradle to grave, not just from a planning perspective, cradle to grave, but from project inception all the way through construction. So these development process managers are going to need to know the entire county process all the way through, as opposed to most of our staff who are, very, very good at what they do, but might not be as privy to the rest of the development process outside of their purview. So these development process managers will be assigned to certain projects, again, to provide that sort of white glove concierge service to help them through all stages of the development process. So we should be kicking that off here within the next month or so. We're also working on customer service training, actually for my entire agency, all 8 departments, within some targeted training by department or function specific to what those folks do. So a higher level kind of 101 training for everybody, and then more specific training as needed for subsets of that larger group. We're also tackling a couple of technology items. We heard loud and clear, both from customers, but frankly, even more so from staff, that our websites need some updating. And the result of not having easy to navigate websites are a plethora of emails and calls to our staff searching just for basic information or asking basic questions that we should be able to provide via our website or other easy to navigate technologies. So we're working on that along with diving deep into Acela, which is our software system of record, and making sure that it's easier for staff to use, and also baking in some new portals for our customers to be using as well. I use the really stupid analogy, and I know people are tired of me probably saying it, but I order way too much Domino's pizza with my twin 12-year-olds, and when you order a pizza, you can see on the little app they have, your pizza's being made, it's being put in the oven, it's out for delivery, it's been delivered. I want that kind of functionality on our website through Acela that our customers can go in and see at a glance. Where does your application stand? Where, whose ball is in whose court, et cetera, so they don't have to be calling and emailing all the time. They just have that information at their fingertips. That is a pretty deep dive. That's going to be a very large effort to really dig into, but we're already starting that quite a bit. We've already built in some functionality for our site improvement permitting section that allows customers to do just that, and that happened a couple of months ago. So we have kind of these bigger initiatives. We also have really basic things like instead of having applicants come down and signing papers here, we're doing DocuSign. And we had done that in kind of fits and starts across the board, but not something more uniform. So that was really basically just, why does anybody sign anything with ink anymore, right? We have the functionality. It's easy enough. We don't have to have somebody drive down from Folsom to sign a Mylar, have them sign digitally. So we've made a ton of progress there. I think we have a little bit more work to do. But again, it's everything from very simple things like that to major initiatives. So I'm not going to bore you with any more of the detail in this spreadsheet. Are there any questions or comments about what we're working on right now? And I'll actually mention in that board retreat in September, we're going to be providing a detailed update as to what we're working on as well. That's September 19th. So if you're not busy that day and want to tune in, feel free to do so. Okay. So with that, just wanted to mention that, again, the goal statement of being the best place to build in the region is something that I take very personally on a lot of levels. Again, I have kids that are growing up here. I'm concerned, like many folks, that they're not going to have an affordable place to live when they grow up, right? And again, I think as the sort of 800-pound gorilla in the region, that we have a responsibility to help address this. I think we have the tools to address it. I think we have the right staff in the right places to do it. It just takes that extra nudge to build that reputation with our customers to be known as the best place to build. And I think we're well on our way there. And as I've mentioned to folks in the past, we have a captive audience. We have a captive customer base. Not everybody wants to do business with the county, right? They're forced to because they're required to have a permit. So we want to make it the best place to build for just the mom and pops who want to do a small project, and again, everybody up to the large developers doing really major subdivision work. And again, I think that's to the benefit of our current residents, reinvesting in our existing communities, and then to future residents, hopefully including my kids, by building more housing supply for them that's affordable. So with that, that's really what I wanted to provide today, is just sort of a brief glimpse into everything we're working on. There's a lot going on at the county right now. Staff is absolutely overwhelmed with work. We have significant vacancies. I think right now planning, for instance, has about a 25% vacancy rate, and they are constantly recruiting. So all the things I'm talking about here are all very important and good. It's also additional work on staff, right? When they are extremely busy just trying to respond to customers coming through the doors. So I very much appreciate that. I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind as I'm asking them to be doing even more with less. But as I'd mentioned last week to a number of staff, it's an investment in the future. I think that this is good work that's going to pay off over time. I think a lot of this work, I hope, will make staff's life easier. Again, going back to the website update, having information more easily accessed by customers hopefully means less phone calls and emails coming to staff with just basic questions. Having software improved that is easier to navigate for staff will hopefully make it less burdensome for them. But I appreciate that they are still overwhelmed with work right now and doing just an absolutely fantastic job. You have a wonderful staff here in planning in particular. I might be biased because I grew up as a planner here. But again, having worked for a number of jurisdictions, they're second to none. And I'm really excited to be working with them on this. So with that, any questions or comments?
I'll kick us off. So I just want to say I really appreciate you coming here tonight. I was aware of the resolution and had read Mr. Carriage's report, and I think it's really on the right track. That was one of the things I noticed when I first started coming to the Planning Commission was the super long lead time of projects just to get here. By the time we saw them, they were in process for many years. And I think looking at things from a vision down to details, down to really metrics that we can look at and track and see when things start to get out of whack is the right approach. Borrows a lot from the corporate world, and I do definitely appreciate that. So just want to say thank you for coming, and I'll look through here and definitely give you any feedback that I can. But I think you're right on and making these changes happen.
Great.
Other commissioners, comments or questions this evening?
Okay.
I guess I'd also like to echo your comments, especially about our staff and how wonderful they are. I know that it often can be a thankless job, and so right now we are thanking you. Excited to hear about some of the things that you are developing, especially sort of the ability for people to understand where their projects are in the process, and trying to make the process as smooth and efficient as possible for everyone. So thank you for presenting this to us, and thank you to our staff for all the work that they do.
Well, happy to come back anytime. Feel free to invite me, and I'll be back. And I'm here every Tuesday sitting around over there. So if you're ever down here and want to catch me, you know where I am. But again, just wanted to mention I'll be providing a similar presentation to the CPACs as well over the next few months. And I just think it's really important that the Planning Commission and the CPACs, who have such a vital role in our land development process, is sort of aware of this larger vision that the board has and that we're working on really behind the scenes a lot. But you're going to start seeing that in public a little bit more. We're going to start pushing out a lot more messaging to our customers and our media as well. So there's a broader understanding of what we're trying to achieve here.
Thank you so much. I'll just end with one final comment too. I just wanted to commend you on the look of or the feel of small customers are really our customers also. Sometimes our larger customers, they know how to navigate the system.
Yes.
And so for them, maybe an inefficient process, it's not a big deal. But with our small customers that may go through the process once in their lifetime or once every 10 years and the process has changed, it can mean a significant impact to their finances or their business. So I definitely appreciate the focus on that smaller customer, whether it be the resident or the small business.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll now move on to the contested portion of our agenda this evening. If you'll please call item number 4.
Absolutely. So for item number 4, we have floodplain management ordinance amendment initiation. It is county-wide, and there's not an applicable environmental document. But before we get started, I just wanted to touch base with Ms. Patton to see if we do have an attendee on the line by the name of Sunny. Is that one of your applicants or that I need to promote?
There is no applicant for this project. This is a county-initiated project,
Oh,
and
I
so
apologize.
I'm not sure who that is.
Okay, so you don't, okay, right, thank you. Okay, go ahead, please.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Kevin Sue. I'm with Sacramento County Department of Water Resources. I'm filling in last minute for my senior who's out sick, so please excuse me if I tend to read a little bit from my notes. Tonight, I will be presenting a request to adopt a resolution of intention to initiate amendments to the Sacramento County Floodplain Management Ordinance. Sacramento County participates and is in good standing with FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program, which enables property owners to purchase flood insurance. In return, the county was required to adopt and implement a floodplain management ordinance that contributes to protecting lives and reducing flood risks. The current form of the floodplain management ordinance was established in 1993 when it became a standalone component of the zoning code. Since 1993, this ordinance has gone through several updates, with the latest one being in 2017. As part of an upcoming floodplain map revision, FEMA performed a routine review of the ordinance and found a section not in compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program. FEMA informed the county that it must ensure its floodplain management regulations are fully compliant, adopted by the local governing body, and legally enforceable by the effective date of the floodplain map revision. So that deadline is currently estimated to be February 22nd, 2024. Failure to comply by this date will result in the county's automatic suspension from the National Flood Insurance Program. So the first step to bring this ordinance into compliance is to initiate this amendment with the Planning Commission. FEMA has determined that amendments to Section 90515 are necessary to remove allowances for permit exemptions for levee maintenance projects consistent with federal standards. This does not mean that maintenance activities that do not change the levee's geometry or the flood elevation require a permit, but instead it removes the interpretation that permits are not required when certain activities could affect flood elevations. Water Resources has also decided to take the opportunity to revise and clarify two additional sections of the ordinance. Section 90604F shall be revised to clarify minimum floodplain elevation requirements for utility equipment serving new or substantially improved structures, and Section 90605H shall be revised to clarify minimum floodplain elevation requirements for basements to remain consistent with residential structural elevation requirements. Neither of these clarifications alter how the ordinance is currently implemented and are proposed to make these requirements more clear. In conclusion, the Sacramento County Department of Water Resources requests the Planning Commission adopt the resolution of intention to initiate amendments to the floodplain management ordinance. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Mr. Siu?
Yes.
Thank you. So we don't have actual amendments to it. We are initiating the process to
Correct.
study the amendments. Okay. And so the levee maintenance will still be able to perform levee maintenance, but because there's a list of levee maintenance things, but not certain levee maintenance, is what you're saying.
Correct. FEMA performed the review. It's not something that is should be found within a floodplain management ordinance, levee maintenance, that is. So levee maintenance is still allowed. What we want to make clear is that that the interpretations of these permits are required for like certain activities, for the development activities, but not, for example, mowing or anything like that. So they don't specifically list out levee maintenance requirements.
Okay. Other questions from commissioners this evening? Commissioner Wong?
Question. Would any of the, because we haven't, I guess, made the actual changes yet, but would any of the anticipated changes be less strict than the current standards that we currently have in place?
If anything, it'd be more strict,
Okay.
as in it doesn't provide the impression of a blanket permit for levee maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess with items number 2 and 3, what about non-conforming structures? Is this just really dealing with new structures, or would this impact
New
insurability of?
New structures and substantially improved structures.
Okay. Commissioner Corona Sabiniano?
Yeah, just, I guess I'm trying to understand this. How does this play in with, and I'm thinking of Natoma specifically and the special district that exists over there, with the RD 1000 and any projects that they might be embarking on? Are they complying with this, or is it completely separate?
So for many of the projects in the Natomas area, that's actually designed and developed, and they have the plan review and the like. What we're proposing is the levee maintenance aspect of it. If those activities were to change the levee geometry or the flood elevations, then they should be coming in for a permit. And many of the projects we have seen and reviewed for those larger levee improvements.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions this evening? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And do we have any public comments this evening?
We do not.
All right. Any deliberation, commissioners? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to move staff recommendation.
Okay.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second for item number 4.
Okay. And please vote. Unanimous vote with those members present.
All right. Thank you so much. That concludes item number 4, and we'll move on to the planning director's report.
Good evening. So Jessica Brandt, Planning and Environmental Review again. And I do have a couple of items to report back to the commission tonight. The first is to let you know that you had approved the Taverner Road wireless communications facility at the 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago?
24th?
The 24th.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
the 24th.
And we did end up receiving a community interest appeal from the Cosumnes CPAC. And so that has been scheduled for the board to hear the appeal on September 26th. They identified aesthetic impacts and new uses in their community areas, specifically the residential areas, as their areas of community interest. And so happy to answer any questions, but I did want to alert the commission of that. And then for 7041 Santa Juanita Avenue, I did want to note that there were 2 building code cases that were opened on July 18th for work done without permits, and those are currently being reviewed. And then the applicant or the owner of the property did request that planning staff review a potential building demolition and rebuild to see if it would be substantially compliant with an existing use permit on the site. It was found that that would not be considered compliant. We did send that message to them and the noncompliance determination. I think it's been more than 10 days, so there was an appeal period for that. The appeal period has passed, I believe. So that's the update on the Santa Juanita property. And then is scheduling a separate item? I always forget. Okay.
Yeah, but we can carry on to that item now.
All right. So scheduling. Your next meeting will be the 28th of August. We do have right now 4 items on the agenda. One of them you will be serving as the Board of Zoning Appeals. It is for an appeal of a director determination related to a map expiration. You will have a tentative subdivision map, a development agreement for a map that is in the Vineyard area, and then a small lot map that is in the Arden Arcade community. It's called Annandale. And that ends scheduling.
Thank you so much. Any questions for staff this evening?
No questions, but just September 11th. I'm not sure if we are planning to have a meeting or if we have a lot of items, but I will probably be absent.
Okay. We do have right now 3 items on the advanced agenda for that meeting, so thank you.
I will definitely be absent.
Okay.
And I am coming back in town that day on September 11th. I am
no.
scheduled to be here.
Lydia, could you do a general check?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay,
Sure.
great. I do, with the scheduling, so the September 25th agenda has 5 items on the advanced agenda. Would the commission be open to a potential alternative hearing date earlier in September? Is that something that you could maybe talk with Flo about?
Definitely.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm also going to be out on that date.
No. Okay.
I'm definitely open to another alternative date on the 11th if we need
Okay.
to schedule something.
Okay.
And we'd be happy to do a poll for the dates in November, in September to see who's available. We're always working ahead.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. So more to come on that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And any general public comments on item number 7?
And there are none.
Sounds good. Thank you all for being here tonight. And we're going to go ahead and adjourn at 6:15 p.m. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.